The room is quiet, too quiet. It's late afternoon, the kind of soft amber light that slips through the blinds and lands gently on the walls. You're sitting in your favorite chair, phone in hand, scrolling. Or maybe you're at the kitchen table, reading the news on a tablet, or staring at the television while the kettle boils. Nothing dramatic is happening. Your eyes don't hurt. There's no sharp pain, no warning bell. And that's exactly the problem. Because in this perfectly ordinary moment, you may be slowly teaching your eyes to fail. After 60, your vision becomes exquisitely sensitive to the small choices you make every day. The habits that barely mattered in your 40s now carry weight. The tissues of your eyes are thinner. Tear production has declined. Blood flow to the retina isn't as robust. The tiny muscles that control focus tire more easily. The optic nerve becomes less forgiving. And yet, millions of older adults unknowingly repeat one quiet, invisible behavior dozens, sometimes hundreds of times a day. They stare. They stare at screens. Not dramatically, not obsessively, just casually, comfortably, habitually. A phone while waiting for coffee, a tablet during lunch, the TV in the evening, a laptop to check email, a quick glance at headlines, a longer scroll through photos. Each time, your eyes lock onto a bright, close object, and each time, something subtle happens inside your body. Your blink rate drops. When you're relaxed and not looking at a screen, you blink about 15 to 20 times per minute. Each blink spreads a fresh layer of tears across your cornea, a living, breathing surface that depends on moisture and oxygen to stay healthy. But when you stare at a screen, your blink rate can fall by more than half, sometimes down to 5 or 6 blinks per minute. Your eyes don't scream about it, they whisper. The tear film begins to evaporate. The cornea starts to dry. Microscopic scratches form on the surface. Inflammation quietly builds. The nerves that help regulate tear production become irritated. At first, it just feels like mild dryness, a little grit, maybe occasional burning. You rub your eyes. That makes it worse. Over time, this repeated dryness and irritation can destabilize the entire ocular surface. The condition even has a name, evaporative dry eye. And after 60, your risk skyrockets. But dry eye isn't just uncomfortable. Chronic dryness alters the way light enters your eye. It creates fluctuating vision, moments where things seem blurry, then clear, then blurry again. It increases sensitivity to glare. It makes night driving harder. It accelerates fatigue in the muscles responsible for focusing. And it sets the stage for something deeper. Because when the surface of the eye is constantly inflamed, the delicate tissues inside begin to suffer. The cornea becomes less transparent. The lens works harder to compensate. The retina receives inconsistent signals. Your brain strains to piece together a clean image. You may start holding books farther away, squinting more, avoiding low light, feeling unusually tired after reading or watching TV. You chalk it up to getting older. But aging alone doesn't explain this. Habit does. There's another layer, even quieter. Every time you stare at a screen up close, you activate your accommodative system, the tiny muscles that change the shape of your lens so you can focus on near objects. After 60, these muscles are already weakened by presbyopia, the natural stiffening of the lens. They fatigue faster. They recover slower. Prolonged near focus forces them into sustained contraction, like holding a weight without ever setting it down. Do that repeatedly, day after day, and you create a state of chronic visual tension. Headaches become more common. Depth perception subtly declines.
Your ability to shift focus from near to far slows. And because screens emit high-energy visible light, often called blue light, they add oxidative stress to retinal cells already vulnerable with age. No single glance causes damage. It's the accumulation, the hours, the years, the way this behavior slips into your routine so quietly that you never question it. You think you're just checking messages, but your eyes are paying for every second. What makes this especially dangerous after 60 is that your natural protective systems are weaker. Tear glands produce less fluid. Meibomian glands, tiny oil factories along your eyelids, begin to clog, making tears evaporate even faster. Antioxidant defenses in retinal tissue decline. Blood vessels stiffen. So the same habit you got away with at 40 becomes a slow burn at 65. And here's the cruel part. Your brain adapts. It normalizes the blur. It learns to tolerate the dryness. It accepts the strain. Until one day you realize you don't see the way you used to, and you can't quite remember when it started. The screen goes dark for a moment as it times out. You tap it awake again without thinking. Your eyes follow the light, and the cycle continues.
Your eyes were never designed for this. For hundreds of thousands of years, human vision evolved to scan horizons, track movement at a distance, and adjust constantly to changing light. Your ancestors didn't fixate on glowing rectangles inches from their faces for hours at a time. Their eyes moved, they blinked, they shifted focus from near to far. They absorbed natural light in rhythms that synchronized with their biology. Now, after 60, many people spend more time looking at screens than at the world itself, and the consequences ripple far beyond simple eye strain. Let's talk about what happens inside your retina. At the back of each eye lies a thin sheet of neural tissue packed with photoreceptor cells, rods for low light, cones for color and detail. These cells are among the most metabolically active in your entire body. They burn through oxygen and nutrients at an astonishing rate just to translate light into vision. They are also exquisitely sensitive to oxidative stress. Blue light from screens penetrates deep into the eye, reaching the retina directly. Unlike ultraviolet light, which is mostly blocked by the cornea and lens, blue light passes through with ease. In younger eyes, antioxidant systems help neutralize the free radicals this creates. But after 60, those defenses weaken. The retinal pigment epithelium, an essential support layer that feeds and cleans your photoreceptors, becomes less efficient. Waste products accumulate more easily. Mitochondria inside retinal cells produce energy less cleanly, generating more oxidative byproducts. So every extended screen session becomes a tiny oxidative event. Again, not catastrophic, just cumulative. Over time, this low-grade stress contributes to macular degeneration, one of the leading causes of vision loss in older adults. It doesn't arrive with fanfare. It begins as subtle distortion, a faint blur in the center of your vision, straight lines that don't look quite straight anymore. By the time people notice, precious retinal tissue has already been damaged. And there's something else most people never consider. When you stare at screens, especially in dim rooms, your pupils dilate. Wider pupils allow more light and more blue wavelengths to flood the retina. At night, this effect is amplified. The very time your eyes should be resting becomes a period of heightened exposure. You think you're winding down with a show or scrolling before bed, but your visual system is being overstimulated at the cellular level. This doesn't just affect your eyes, it disrupts your circadian rhythm. Blue light suppresses melatonin, the hormone that signals sleep. Poor sleep impairs tissue repair throughout the body, including in your eyes.
Reduced deep sleep means less regeneration of ocular surface cells, weaker immune surveillance in eye tissues, and slower recovery from daily stress. So the habit feeds on itself. Screens disturb sleep. Poor sleep accelerates eye aging. Aging eyes become more vulnerable to screens. Round and round it goes. But the damage doesn't stop at the retina. Let's move forward to the lens. With age, your natural lens becomes thicker and less flexible. It also yellows slightly, filtering some blue light, but scattering more incoming light in all directions. This scattering increases glare sensitivity and reduces contrast, making it harder to see clearly, especially in low light. When you spend hours focusing on bright screens, your lens is forced to maintain a near-focus posture it no longer handles gracefully. Proteins inside the lens undergo stress. Microstructural changes accumulate. This contributes to the development of cataracts, clouding the lens and further degrading vision. Again, not overnight, year by year. Screen time doesn't cause cataracts by itself, but it accelerates the conditions that allow them to form. And then there are the blood vessels. The retina depends on an intricate network of capillaries to deliver oxygen and nutrients. With age, these vessels become more fragile. Chronic inflammation, fueled by dryness, oxidative stress, and poor sleep, makes them even more vulnerable. Prolonged screen use has been shown to reduce blinking and increase ocular surface inflammation, which sends inflammatory signals deeper into the eye. Over time, this contributes to vascular dysfunction in retinal tissue. That's one reason older adults who spend long hours on screens often notice worsening floaters, slower visual adaptation, and diminished clarity. Your eyes are telling you something, but they're whispering in a language most people ignore. You might feel it as pressure behind the eyes, or a dull ache in your temples, or a sense that reading has become strangely exhausting, or that you avoid driving at night now. These are not random. They are signals from a visual system under chronic, low-grade assault. And here's the most dangerous part of all. This habit feels harmless. It feels modern. It feels necessary. You're not doing anything reckless. You're just living your life, staying connected, passing the time, keeping informed. But every minute spent staring at a screen without blinking properly, without changing focus, without adequate lighting, without breaks, quietly chips away at the resilience of your vision. After 60, you don't have decades to recover from that kind of stress. You have years, sometimes less. The screen glows softly in the dark. Your eyes adjust. And deep inside, tiny systems that once worked effortlessly begin to struggle. You don't notice the moment it tips. You only notice later when clarity fades and the world feels slightly dimmer than it used to. And by then, reversing the damage becomes far harder. But here's what almost no one tells you. This doesn't have to be your story.
The damage caused by this everyday habit isn't destiny. It's not an inevitable sentence handed down by age. Much of it is modifiable. Some of it is reversible. And nearly all of it can be slowed dramatically once you understand what your eyes actually need. The first thing your vision is begging for is movement. Your eyes are not static cameras. They are living sensors designed to roam. When you lock them onto a screen for long stretches, you deprive them of their most basic form of nourishment, change. There's a simple physiological reason why looking into the distance feels relieving. When you shift your gaze from near to far, the ciliary muscles that control focus finally relax. Blood flow improves, oxygen delivery increases, metabolic waste clears. It's like unclenching a fist that's been tightly closed. Even 20 seconds of distance viewing can reset this system. That's why eye specialists often recommend what's called the 20-20-20 rule. Every 20 minutes, look at something at least 20 feet away for 20 seconds. It sounds trivial. It's not.
Those brief interruptions prevent accommodative spasm, reduce visual fatigue, and help preserve your ability to change focus as you age. They also stimulate blinking, which restores the tear film and protects the cornea. And blinking matters more than you think. After 60, many people develop dysfunction in their meibomian glands, the tiny oil-secreting glands along the eyelids that keep tears from evaporating. Screen staring makes this worse by suppressing blinking and encouraging incomplete blinks, where the eyelids don't fully close. Incomplete blinking starves these glands. The oil thickens, the ducts clog, dry eye becomes chronic. But conscious, full blinking, slowly closing your eyes for a second, then opening them, can reawaken these glands and improve tear quality. Doing this a few times every hour can dramatically change how your eyes feel by the end of the day. Then there's light. Your eyes evolved under sunlight, not LED glow. Screens are brightest at the center of your visual field, creating an unnatural contrast that forces your pupils to constantly adjust. If you're using screens in dim rooms, the imbalance becomes even extreme. The fix is simple but powerful. Always match your environment to your screen. Turn on lamps, open curtains, reduce brightness. Use warm color settings in the evening. This lowers retinal stress and reduces pupil dilation, decreasing the amount of high-energy light reaching sensitive tissues. And at night, your eyes need darkness to heal. Avoid screens in the hour before bed whenever possible. If you must use them, activate night mode or blue light filters. Better yet, switch to printed material under soft, warm lighting. Sleep is when your eyes repair. Deprive them of that window and they fall behind.
Nutrition matters too, far more than most people realize. The retina requires specific nutrients to defend itself against oxidative damage. Lutein and zeaxanthin accumulate in the macula, acting like internal sunglasses that filter blue light and neutralize free radicals. Omega-3 fatty acids support tear production and reduce inflammation. Vitamin C and E protect cellular membranes. Zinc helps transport vitamin A, essential for low-light vision. After 60, absorption of these nutrients often declines, even in people who eat reasonably well. That's why eye doctors increasingly recommend diets rich in leafy greens, colorful vegetables, fatty fish, nuts and seeds, or targeted supplementation when needed. You're not just feeding your body, you're feeding your sight. Hydration plays a role too. Mild dehydration thickens tears and worsens dryness. Many older adults simply don't drink enough water, especially in winter or when they're less active. Dry body equals dry eyes. Then there's posture. When you hold your phone low in your lap or hunch toward a laptop, your eyelids open wider, exposing more of the ocular surface and accelerating tear evaporation. Raising screens to eye level reduces this exposure and naturally increases blinking. Small adjustments, big consequences. And finally, there's something deeply human that screens quietly steal from your eyes: natural visual variety. Real life offers depth, shadows, movement, subtle color gradients, changing distances. Your visual system thrives on this complexity. Screens flatten everything into a single plane at a fixed distance. So give your eyes what they evolved for. Go outside. Let them track birds, trees, clouds, passing cars. Let them rest on far horizons. Let them feel sunlight filtered through leaves. These moments reawaken neural pathways that screens slowly silence. After 60, your eyes are not fragile glass. They are resilient, adaptive, and remarkably responsive to care. But they will not protect themselves from a habit you repeat unconsciously. That responsibility is yours. The next time your hand reaches for your phone without thinking, pause, blink fully, lift your gaze, let your eyes wander somewhere distant.
You don't need to abandon technology. You just need to stop surrendering your vision to it. Because clarity isn't lost in a single moment. It fades in thousands of quiet ones. And it can be preserved the same way, one conscious choice at a time.